I am here in the Mire of Little Moth to showcase my DK Warden tank. This is a setup for survivability in veteran DLC dungeons and veteran trials. It's if you are struggling as a tank to survive, or if you don't need the DPS boost and just want to play it safe. So the three key sets here are from DLC dungeons. We have Jorvuulds from Scalecaller, we have Earthgore from Bloodroot Forge, and we have Jailers from Moonhunter Keep. The idea here is all the sets synergize together to boost your healing received and your sustain. So let's go through it piece by piece. First of all, we have Jorvuulds. Jorvuulds is going to buff your magicka recovery, and it's going to buff the duration of your buffs on yourself and on your allies. So this is going to buff skills like Igneous Shield, so it's going to buff the major mending from Igneous Shields, and it's going to buff the duration of damage shields on your allies. It's going to buff the duration of your resolves on both this and on your armor skill. It's also going to buff the duration of the shield on it as well, so you can shield stack quite effectively. It's going to buff the duration of absorb magic, but you don't really use that much. Buffs duration of the shield on magma shell for your allies as well, and it also buffs the duration of minor heroism. So it also buffs the duration of major expedition. This is really useful as a lot of tanks it's actually recommended. You have some swift jewelry or some extra speed, helps you get around the place, saves your stamina. Also buffs duration of minor vitality and the stamina recovery, and also buffs duration of major force. So that's major force buffs your crit damage, and it's really useful because a lot of DDs are now going with builds that are very crit centric, because you can get minor force very easily now due to the Psijic skill line, and you can now get major force due to the aggressive warhorn. So it's going to really boost that critical damage for your DDs. Now on to the next set. We have Jailers. Now Jailers normally has a 5-second uptime of major vitality, but with Jorvuulds it goes up to 7 seconds because Jorvuulds buffs it. Now this is really good because it's going to counteract a lot of the defile, bleeding and oblivion damage that you're going to find in the new DLC dungeons or new content. So for example, Black Rose Prison and Cloud Rest both have really nasty oblivion damage, bleed damage, etc, and defiles. So you need something like Jailers to counteract that damage. Now for Earthgore, Jailers synergizes with Earthgore because as soon as you take that damage and you drop below half health, you're going to have major vitality when Earthgore procs. So you get that heal is going to actually heal you for a lot more than it shows there. It's probably going to heal you for about 40-50k, because you're also going to have the major mending and the minor vitality from the DK skill line. So it's going to heal you for a crazy amount. On to weapons. The weapon enchants are a bit greedy here. Key thing is I'm using Decisive. Gives me more sustain and more ultis, which is always good. More warhorns, always very nice. So I've gone for stamina and magicka enchants just to keep my sustain going. I could do Crusher, but the other person using Crusher, the other tank, would probably overwrite it. And I'd prefer to survive rather than boost DPS here. For the enchants, they're not that important. The key thing here is I'm using Harmony trait jewelry. Harmony will not boost your DPS, but it will boost your sustain. It also will reduce the size of your overall stat pool. You'll have lower stamina, magicka, and health, but you'll have more sustain due to Harmony jewelry. So that spear will give you 100% roughly more stamina back when you activate it, or that healing on the ground will also give you more healing over time. So it's useful in that respect. This setup is roughly the same on a Warden. You're going to have the buffing of Ice Fortress up for a bit longer, Elusive Predator, Shimmering Shield, the Netch. They're all going to get buff duration. You can also have buff duration of the Mushrooms skill that gives you minor magicka and stamina recovery. So overall, it's a great survivability set. Does sustain, does tankiness, and it does healing. So have a go, try it out, and tell me what you think.